FR versus DPSP. FR versus DPSP. Right. Say first, what is FR is? Fundamental right is. What is it? Guaranteed by the Constitution to ensure a rights, whatever rights are, liberty of the individual. So where they are right. So the limitations on the state action. What to say it? It protects the individual from the excess of the state, right? So Article 13. What is the judicial review? Any law which violates this part of the Constitution is null and void to that extent. And any law which says made by whom? Article 12. What is it? State. The definition of state, which includes any of the organ, right, of the state, even the local bodies. And any law means what? Even the GOs, statutes, customs, and convention also constitute the law, right? So where it is going to protect, which means that there are limitations. DPSP is what? Instructions. So they are the opposite, quite opposite. Instruction to the government to do. So here, not to do. Here, what to do. That's what the thing is about, right? And then this is among this, which is more important, of course, right? Say FR will always have precedence over any part of the Constitution. Take it for not only DPSP. FR will always have the precedence over any part of the Constitution. DPSP also, right? In case of tussle between Part 4 and Part 3 will provide. Why? They are justiciable and they are given constitutional protection. Article 32 itself is what? A constitutional right, which means a double guarantee in India. No one can, right, so violate this Part 3. But what if the government does that? So you might heard about the 9th schedule. Reservation should not exceed 50%. Right? That was the Indira Shani's judgment. Right? We have seen in Article 15, right? 16. Now, 10% for EWS is still in the court. Right? The court need to take it. But there are certain states like Tamil Nadu, Bihar, and other things, right? So where reservation surpasses this 50% limit. Right? So now there is 69% they say officially. But when you take it, so there is subdivision among the reservation, it goes up to 80%. Right? But it is unconstitutional. Definitely it is unconstitutional, right? But again, they have been constitutionally shielded. Why? Say here, they are put under the 9th schedule. Actually, the original purpose of 9th schedule is different. To ensure socio-economic equality and justice. So there's a thing for it, right? Say there's an article called Article 31C. Article 31C, which is an exception to fundamental right. The exception to fundamental right. How? Say the Article 31C says, right, if any of the laws are passed, to give effect to Article 39B and Article 39C, that is equitable distribution of wealth and prevention of concentration of wealth, right? If any law is passed to give effect to Article 39B and C, then that law is shielded from Article 14 and 19. That is, violation of this Article 14 and 19 will not apply in the case of 39B and C. Right? If any law is passed, my right is gone, right to equality is gone, right to particular freedom is gone, you cannot approach the court. Why? Because particularly says that 31C has shielded this laws from this fundamental rights. Right? And then the 25th Amendment, it was the thing which got it, right? Then by the 42nd Amendment, right, another step was taken to extend the scope of Article 31C. It says that if any laws were passed to give effect to any of the directives, right, then it is shielded from Article 14 and 19. But again, in the Minerva Mills case, the Supreme Court struck down, saying that it is beyond your jurisdiction. Right? It is beyond, it's a fraud upon the Constitution. And it came with the principle of harmonious construction. Principle of harmonious construction. What is it? So actually, right, the court opined that there is a fine balance between Part 3 and Part 4. And as per the Constitution, Part 3 will always take precedence over Part 4. And why this Parliament is bypassing this and entering a back entry door. So re-entry through a back door where it says that, right? So it's trying to put the Part 4 before the Part 3. It will disturb the basic structure. So before that, Minerva Mills case, what is it? Keshwanda Bharati to come with the basic structure doctrine. Now in the Minerva Mills case, it's reaffirming the basic structure doctrine there, right? So the Part 3, you should not disturb the structure. Part 3 will always have precedence over Part 4. And all the thing is struck down everything except retaining 31C for 39B and C and not any other things, right? Even today, if laws are passed to give effect to 39B and C, that will be shielded against 14 and 19. That's the only exception available, and it's the only case where the DPSP proceeds over the fundamental rights, not in any other case, right? So that's what the principle of harmonious construction. As per the harmonious construction, DPSP and FR are not equal. FR will always have precedence over DPSP. That is the principle of harmonious construction, right? So now, take down, right? DPSP versus the FR. The FR constitute. That name? Yes, of course. Till now, it is valid. See, actually, that is it. They put a 9 schedule. That's why I said originally it is for 39B and C, but they are misusing this provision. If tomorrow, if the Supreme Court right decides to open the case, it can open and shut down. So it is not constitutionally valid, right? It is yes, of course. No, right? But இங்க வந்து என்ன பண்ணிட்டோம் எக்ஸெப்ஷன் கொடுத்துட்டோம் இட்ஸ் நோ ஜஸ்டிஃபைபிள் why because 31C is an exception to fundamental rights, right? It specifically empowers 39B and C. Any law which by 14 and 19, what if violate 20? Then it's not shielded. Only 14, it is shielded again 14 and 19, right? Now, so FR constitute the limitation upon the state action. Limitations upon the state action, whereas DPSPs are instruments of instruction, to be followed by the government to create a welfare state. Create a welfare state. Then most of the FRs, fundamental rights, are self-executory. Most of the fundamental rights are self-executory. Whereas the directives need to be implemented by legislation. To be implemented by legislation. Then FR are justiciable. FR are justiciable in a court of law. Whereas directives are non-justiciable. In the case of conflict between Part 3 and Part 4, the Part 3 should prevail. A major exception is Article 31C, which was introduced by the 25th Amendment. introduced by the 25th Amendment. Which says that if any of the laws are passed to implement the directive in Article 39B and C, that law shall be immune from Article 14 and 19. The scope of 31C was further extended by 42nd Amendment, which tried to give primacy to the Part 4. But was foiled, that is struck down, foiled by the Minerva Mills case. For violating the basic structure. Where the court opined that, where the court or judiciary opined that there is a fine balance between Part 3 and Part 4. And there was no need to sacrifice one for the sake of another. In the policy making, the state should, as far as possible, adopt the principle of harmonious construction. Right? So now they said FR is more important than DPSP. In such scenario, right? So whether this DPSP really serve any purpose, they are non-justiciable. FR will have precedence over Part 3, right? So what are the sanctions behind it? Whether they have any real sanctions. FR have sanctions behind it. You cannot violate the FR. Whereas DPSP simply, right, is going to be there as a honorary document. So whether it is true. So because some of the constitutional critics, observers said, right, say here, and constitutional expert Ivor Jennings say that this DPSP has pious aspirations. Simply, right? Just they are pious aspirations of the people and nothing more than that, right? And Professor Weir, who calls this as moral homily, right? B.N. Rao, our constitutional advisor to the Counter Assembly, right? So they are that they have moral and educative value. Right? Nothing beyond that. So is it true? Say, again I say, these are the opinions of whom? These words are said by whom? the particular constitutional experts. It's not the opinion of judiciary, right? Whether India is quasi-federal. No. Quasi-federal is said by whom? Professor Weir. That's it. So, the official statement, the official version of Indian judiciary is what? India is basically federal. It is not quasi-federal. So, therefore, these are the opinions of this particular constitutional experts who say it's pious aspiration, it has moral homily, it is nothing but an educative value, it has no real constitutional value, something like that, right? Now, are there any sanctions behind that? So that's what the question is, right? And we say, yes, there are sanctions. So what is the sanction? If what they are. Again, to know the value and sanctions behind this DPSP, we should know Article 355 and Article 365. So what are they? Article 355. You take note, Article 355. It shall be the duty of the Union. It shall be the duty of the Union to ensure that the government of every state is carried in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Carried in accordance with provisions of the Constitution. Now, part 4, whether it's a provision of the Constitution or not. Whether DPSP is a part of the Constitution or not. We say part 4. Therefore, right, duty of the Union to ensure that the state government so applies this principle in the policy making. Right. Tomorrow, the state government instructs the Tamil Nadu government say that you should declare prohibition in your state, close the task mark, not open the task mark, close the task mark. So whether it has the power to do so. Tomorrow, it is giving a direction, right? The Modi government is giving a direction to all the state government, right? Stop cow slaughter. Whether it has the power to do that. In India, it's a ban on cow slaughter. You have blanket ban on cow slaughter. Can you do that? India is a secular state. We say, can you do that? Secularism has nothing to do with this thing, right? Secularism is something different, right? Where you treat all religions equally. Article 48 says you should protect the milk animals, not animals, right? Yes, the central government has the power to say that you should stop that, right? So tomorrow after hereafter, you shouldn't go for cow slaughter. You should close all this liquor shops. This has the power to. What if the government refuses to do? What if Kerala says beef eating is my birthright? What if the Kerala says so, right? And what if Tamil Nadu says so, right? Drinking is my birthright. What do you say so, right? What will happen? The central government has any power? Yes, Article 365. Take down. Article 365. Any state refusing to comply, with the directions issued by the Union is fit for the application of Article 356. Is fit for the application of Article 356. So tomorrow, the central government can bring president's rule, right? At one stroke, Article 356, emergency. This is a state emergency. Your government can be dissolved for disobeying the central government's directive of giving any of the implementation to directive principles, right? Which means that there are some real sanctions behind DPSP, right? So in the last class, while going for fundamental rights, I said there are other fundamental rights flowing from other part of the Constitution. Say, apart from part 3, we have Article 265 as well as Article 301, which are as good as the fundamental rights, right? Now, similarly, so not only directives are contained in part 4, but there are certain directives as good as the directive principles which are contained in other parts of the Constitution, right? Directives flowing from other parts of the Constitution. Directives flowing from other parts of the Constitution. Right. Article 335. It enjoins that the claims of the SCST shall be taken into consideration in employment to public services and promotion in that, consistent with this and promotions, consistent with the maintenance of efficiency of the administration, maintenance of the efficiency of the administration. Yes, say here, that means that what? Reservation is not a fundamental right, right? It is an action by the state, affirmative action by the state to ensure socio-economic equality and justice, right? So you cannot claim it as a matter of right. But again, the directive says, right, as far as possible, taking into consideration the efficiency of the administration, right? You can honor the claims of SCs and STs, right? Promotion is not a birthright of the reserved categories. It's a judgment given by the Supreme Court also, right? And then Article 350, 350 caps A, 350A. It enjoins that every state and local authority to provide adequate facilities for instruction in one's mother tongue. Instruction in one's mother tongue at the primary stage of education. To children belonging to linguistic minority group. It means what? Suppose I am living in North India, right? My family, and I want to, right? So put my daughter in a school, primary school in North India, right? So where the state is enjoined to give education mother tongue at the primary school level. That's why, so in corporation schools, you can see, right? Hindi, so English, English medium is there. Hindi, Telugu, and Malayalam can be found in corporation schools in Chennai. Why? To address the needs of the linguistic minorities who are living in the Tamil Nadu, because it's directly given in Article 350A. It's not in Part 4, but still it is a directive. Then Article 351. The union government shall take steps to promote the spread of Hindi. The union government shall take steps to promote the spread of Hindi and to develop it. So that it may serve as a medium of expression. What Article 351 says? Develop only Hindi, not Telugu, Malayalam, or Tamil. So can you say it is against equality? Article 14. But right, so here that's a justiciable right. It is a not just a line, as a directive. Why? Not as a, it's never said as a national language. It says as a medium of expression. So where to speak or to communicate within the Indian states, Hindi should be developed, right? So other thing, it cannot be challenged. Why? Because it's given in the constitution, and we have appointed our signature that yes, right? I have read the constitution, accepted the constitution. It is legally valid. Tomorrow, if the government brings three language formula to not to make it a national language, to make it as a medium of expression, then it cannot be challenged on the grounds of unconstitutionality. Because why? Given in the constitution. Similarly, 315 also gives a special status to Sanskrit. Where? So Sanskrit. Then you may ask, India is a secular state. Why not to Urdu? Why for Sanskrit alone? So here, it is not to be seen in the religious sense. Sanskrit represents our composite, ancient and composite culture of India. So anyway, right? So Islam was a religion which came to India from outside. It's not an indigenous religion, right? Whereas this Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma is indigenous religion, and Sanskrit is not only actually religion, actually with the ancient Indian culture, architecture, and history. Therefore, it represents the composite culture of India, right? And one of the fundamental duty is to preserve the composite culture. So now you cannot challenge this, right? Why not for Tamil? Tamil is also a composite culture. We can challenge Tamil because Tamil is a composite culture. It also is more than 2,500 years old, but not Urdu, right? Therefore, right? Say here, our constitution is perfectly secular, and we have to see things separately, right? So the directives flowing from other parts of the constitution, right? Okay. So actually today I thought to finish fundamental duties also, but the endowment class is on, right? Yes. So actually planned class for tomorrow, but so we are having a marathon session on history tomorrow. So for the weekend batch. So tomorrow I'm not coming. I'll be coming on the ensuing week after Pongal. So with the constitution, we'll be dealing with fundamental duties. Then I'll go to the part 5. So president. So where going for executive, I'll cover president as well as the governor of the state. So that will be easy for comparison. Council of Ministers at the center as well as the state, then other executive bodies, right? So then the parliament will go for it. So as per our plan, we'll have to finish the core areas before February. So I will do that, right? Right. So next is going to be the endowmental class, right? So I have given him to go slow. I talked to him and go slow in giving notes, to explain, and then go further. Okay, right. So your concerns are taken care of, right? Okay. But again, writing should be there. Practice. So practice should be there, right? In 3 hours, you have to write at least 3,500 words in the mains examination. So yesterday, mains examination started, right? Yes. So let's see. So, okay. So see you in the next class.